G'day and welcome to another big edition of the RDFNL Footy Show. Thanks to our friends at ONTIME Delivery Solutions. My name's Yeendy. I'm joined by Tara Murray from the Star Weekly. We have finally got to the finals, week 1 of the finals.
It is, and this is looking to be a very interesting final series. There's been a lot spoken about during the year about the gap between the top and the bottom sides. There's not much between these top 5, and Romsey on their day can knock off any of these sides. So it's going to be a very interesting final series, and it's maybe one that the sides that will enter the match as the top side in those finals may not get the job done.
Absolutely. I don't know about you, but I've had people ask me throughout the year, who do you think will win the flag? Who do you think will win the flag? I've personally reserved my judgment because I still look, now that the top 6 are settled, I still think virtually any one of those sides can win it. I know, I've seen Wallen play some great footy, Diggers play some great footy, Rupo's been playing great footy, Riddle's been playing great footy. Macedon, they are the reigning premiers. When they've got their best side on the park, they are unbeatable. And then you look at Romsey, and they had just the dark horses, like when they won the flag in 2015. They just come out of nowhere and surprised everyone. And I just think that anyone can win the flag.
Look, I said early on I thought Rupert's were my favourites, but speaking to people at Clubland, even speaking with Nick Ash, he goes, Riddle are favourites. Speaking with Corey O'Sullivan, he said Romsey's the number 1 team. Not Romsey, Riddle's the number 1 team. So obviously I've always said throughout the season, it wouldn't surprise me the Sharks do go all the way, but everyone keeps talking about the Bombers. But as you said, these teams on their day, it could be anything. We saw the Bombers and Macedon a few weeks ago. It was 2 points.
Yeah.
It was 1 point in round 1 between them. The 2 clashes between Rupert's Wood and Diggers Rest have both been 4 points. The first match between Wallen and Rupert's Wood was, I think, 7 points. Yep. So you're seeing a lot of close matches between these sides. Obviously, Diggers Rest and Romsey, I think their last 3 games, there's been no more than 3 goals between these two sides, and Romsey has got a win over the Boroughs. So you look at the matchups between these sides, there's been a lot of close ones. Even Wallen Macedon's another one was a thriller. So the matches between these sides, there has been a lot of close ones as well. So it's going to be whichever side can play the best football for 4 quarters is going to get the win.
Now, we sort of spoke about last week about, I gave you my top 6, and I said that there are stories to tell in regards to the rivalry. That I would have liked to have seen Diggers Rest and Macedon because they played off in a lot of finals together, and Wallen and Romsey, the bromance of it. But then you said that, the finals aren't about the bromance at all. But saying that, we still get some really good stories to tell. Let's talk up the first game, which I think out of all those games, those combinations, we will see, and there is a bit of romance in this one. It's Rupert's Wood and Riddle. This is the second time they've faced off. The third time they've faced off in a final. They've split the results. How do you see this one going?
I think it's 3 in 3 years as well. So I don't know whether there's romance in this one. I think it's more rivalry.
Yeah.
This is what you probably take. This is more rivalry, and Riddle is the one side that absolutely smashed Rupert's Wood. Absolutely smashed them, and that was probably Rupert's Wood's worst performance of the year. So you've got both of these sides that have got a lot of depth. They've both promoted a lot of youngsters, and they've both got some experienced heads in the side. Both have all 3 sides in finals as well. There's 4 teams overall. You've got Wallen, Macedon, Rupert's Wood and Riddle have all got your 4 sides in finals. And listening about the 19s, obviously Wallen will go in favourites, but everyone's talking up Rupert's Wood with knowing what they've done in the 19s for years, and everyone's saying how good a side Riddle is. And these guys are getting through the senior side as well. So look, talking to this match, I'll probably head down there. I think this will be pretty interesting. I have tipped the Bombers.
Yep.
I may not be allowed in Rupert's Wood's rooms afterwards if Rupert's Wood's gets across the line. But I think this will be a really close match. It'll be interesting to see what the gap is between these two sides. They're both young, both fit and running. And you've got Romsey Park, which is probably one of the bigger grounds in the competition, which probably suits both these sides because they do have those young running players. Yeah,
you're spot on there. I've actually jumped on the Sharks this week. I love what I saw from them on the weekend. They played well in the wet weather conditions, but they were able to have other guys sort of step up. And as you highlighted on the week, we could have a few big inclusions into the team. I think the Bombers, they've been absolutely outstanding this year. You can't fault that. 13 wins in as many games. The massive turnaround. You actually called it in the start of the year where the Bombers were slow starters, but once they get their first win on the board, they keep kicking away. Yeah. So that machine is ticking along nicely. But saying that, I think, if I had to pick a winner, Rupert's Wood beat Wallen, a great quality side on the weekend. I think that'll give them enough ammunition. There's enough confidence, enough unity within that team to carry them forward.
I was going to say, Brad at Rupert's just fallen off his seat right about now. As well
exactly.
Too. So
they're producing the best TV show online, Shark TV. Got to get around that. So we've got to put in something for the promo there for the following week if they get up.
But yeah, look, I think it could go either way. And you mentioned the youngster guys and other guys step up. And like speaking with Nick, he was impressed with Alex Masidi and Jake Sutton on the weekend against Wallen. Alex was actually out of the side on the Thursday night, a late inclusion in only his second game. So, and then you've got Jake, who's in his fifth game, who could still be playing under 17s, and both of them did enough to keep their spots this week. So it's going to be quite interesting to see who sort of stands up and which of these youngsters stand up, and that's probably the key to this match. Both have got a lot of stars, both got a lot of experience, but how the youngsters stand up under this pressure and who sort of plays, because they both have, I think, probably played more 10 under 19s in their side this year, so it's which ones of those guys that stand up, that could be the key.
Certainly be one worth watching. It is qualifying final action over at Romsey Park. It is sure to be a belter. We've split who we think will win on the day. Let's talk up the next game, Diggers Rest and Romsey. This the loser of this one, well, it's the season done for them. But if Romsey do get up, then it makes the Wallen Macedon game just a little bit more intriguing who goes to that second semi-final. But this game will be played over at Clark Oval. Diggers Rest have played finals on there. Both sides have actually played finals on there last year. How do you see this one unfolding?
I think both sides lost finals on Clark Oval.
Correct.
As well.
Yeah.
So, look, obviously there's not much difference. I think both Romsey Park and Clark Oval are big ovals. It's sort of, in the end, Romsey not playing at home is probably one thing that sort of favours Diggers Rest. Romsey at home, we all know how hard they are to play there, and this will be quite an interesting one. Romsey always test Diggers Rest. They did get over the line against them last year, and this year in the two games, Diggers Rest won, I think, by less than 3 goals in both of those games. So they've both got a lot of experience. You look on form, probably Diggers Rest is probably the side to beat. I think they've only lost 4 matches by a total, I think, of 22 points. So, and 2 of them have come to Rupertswood by 4 points. So they and when they have lost, they are losing. They did have one upset loss against Wood and Heskett, but other than that, it's been those top sides they're losing. So speaking with Jamie Lobb last week, he said they were sort of hitting their best form, where Corey O'Sullivan said Romsey's yet to hit theirs. So you look at it, you go in that, I think Diggers Rest will be too strong. We've sort of said the top 5 has been the standouts all season, and I think Diggers Rest will prove that.
I agree with you there. I think the interesting thing is that I still look at Diggers Rest lineup. They've still got some great talent in there from when they're playing off in grand finals. I know they didn't make a grand final last year, but the additions they have, I still look at that and go, I'm a standard that people don't talk about in the same breath as, say, your Rupos and Riddles and Macedons. I know they sort of take the glory, but I just think Diggers Rest are the dark horse of the competition.
It is, and I don't think Diggers Rest has had the year they wanted. Speaking with Jamie, he said it's been a pretty frustrating year, because
they've had players dropping in and out, haven't they?
That's exactly. They've had players overseas, they've had injuries, they've had work. They haven't had their best lineup in, so we probably haven't seen the best of Diggers Rest. And that's one thing they've aimed for all season, is to hit their straps at the right time of the year. They were pretty happy with their performance against Melton Centrals. If they can continue that and build on that this week, it's obviously good signs for them going forward.
So we're both tipping Diggers in that one. That's over at Clark Oval. Should be an absolute cracker. I think the interesting thing is about this one, though, is that Romsey went into the final at Clark Oval as favourites last year against Riddle, and the game was over at half-time in a bit of a surprise. So they're going to go in as the underdogs here. Maybe they can turn that around, so they've got that on their side. The other game, Wallen and Macedon. This is going to be an absolute cliffhanger.
This could be the closest one of the weekend. Saying that, all 3 could be pretty close, but this one could be. We look at it last time, there was nothing between these 2 teams. I think Macedon just got over the line there. I think it was 2 points or something like that. So it's going to be a classic, and obviously neither of these sides they've been a little bit up and down in the second half of the season. So they've had some really good performances, and then they've had some disappointing losses. You look, Macedon lost to Sunbury Kangaroos, Wallen lost to Melton Centrals. So, and Wallen will probably be disappointed with their performance against Rupertswood heading into finals, but I'm expecting them to bounce back. They've shown they've got a lot of depth and they've got a lot of class, led by Jesse Davies in the midfield there, who will go pretty close, I think, in the league best and fairest, if not win it. He's been a standout there for those guys. So you look at that there, and against the Cats, it'll be interesting who they have in their side, whether they get all their guns back. They do have that premiership experience, which could count for a lot.
Yeah, exactly right there. This is going to be a very hard one to tip, and it'll be very hard to see which way this will go. Unfortunately, we have to have a winner and a loser out of this one. Who gets up?
I've tipped Wallen. I think Wallen's been the better side throughout the year. They've been probably a little bit more consistent than Macedon. And that's why I think Wallen will get up. I think
you've taken the words right out of my mouth. I think its consistency has been on Wallen's side, and they've been an outstanding side this year, and I would not be surprised if they made the grand final. If they play their best footy, that's what they're capable of.
Yeah, quite definitely. And we've seen that throughout the season. They have shown they can. Those top 2 sides, they can go with those top 2 sides. at times, and we've seen that. So yeah, look, they could quite easily, as we've said, all 6 of these teams could make a grand final.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think Wallen will get up this week.
Hopefully we see some great results when 5 o'clock rolls around on Sunday afternoon or early Sunday evening. Thanks to our friends at ONTIME Delivery Solutions. Tara, thanks so much for jumping on board, and hopefully we get some 3 cracking games on the weekend, and we've got plenty to talk about when we catch up next week.
Thanks.